With the MLB season being a shortened season this season, and we're seeing all these teams play their division and then the adjacent division for the entirety of the season, there's without a doubt going to be some teams with quote-unquote favorable schedules on paper per se here, especially from a pitching standpoint or from a hitting standpoint. Today we're going to go over three of the best teams to load up on hitters from a fantasy perspective, teams that we think have a very good chance to put up a lot of runs this season. Guys, you might want to go out there, pick up those guys in a draft you'll feel comfortable about taking. Starting off with the Cleveland Indians, probably the shocker on the list if you want to call it that, because the Indians are not really this completely dominant offensive team. But that is, I think that's where you add value here for the Indians. You add the Indians because they will end up playing 9 different teams this season. Of those 9 teams, 4 of them finished in the bottom 9 in the league from a team ERA perspective last season. 2 of those, bottom 5. And you look at that, 3 of the 4 of their teams are from their own division, meaning they'll end up playing 33 to 34 of their 60 games against said teams. Then you'll have St. Louis, Cincinnati, Minnesota, and Chicago, all who finished inside the top 10 in ERA last season. Teams they'll play roughly about 23 of their games against this season. But for the Indians, I think it's going to be a lot of favorable matchups. And the Indians, the reason I like it is because you look at their team that they're not this stacked team up and down on paper. They got a lot of solid guys though. You know, those guys that may have been bubble guys, waiver possible pickup for a stretch of a couple weeks type of guys in their team, and they get hot or they get cold. But the difference now is they're going to have a lot more favorable schedule this season where those guys, they go from being those bubble, bottom of your guys, maybe throw them on the waivers if you don't need them right now type of guys. The guys that go up a couple of notches from a value standpoint that will still probably be resembled in the draft as if that wasn't the case here. So I think those are guys you can look at as, late pickups in the draft that have a lot of upside value in Indians players. And for that reason, I love the idea of taking Indians players. Then we'll go to the Dodgers, of course, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Perhaps the easiest schedule on paper from an opposing pitching staff perspective, but also a team where they're loaded up and down the lineup, and you don't really expect too many of these, steals late in the draft like you could have said possibly with the Indians, right? Nonetheless, you can feel comfortable taking these players as the only 2 teams they'll play all season ranked inside the top 10 from a team ERA perspective are the Houston Astros, a team who just lost Garrett Cole and are riding on an aging Justin Verlander, and the Oakland Athletics. So 2 teams they'll play all of, 6, maybe 7 times combined this season, topped off with the potent offense that is the Los Angeles Dodgers. You can expect plenty of runs and scoring chances from everyone up and down this lineup. The last team we're going to throw on there is the Colorado Rockies. The Rockies will make this list for a lot of reasons that the Dodgers do, of course. They're pretty much sharing the same exact schedule, minus the rivals and minus the fact that the Dodgers will play. You're obviously batting against the Dodgers instead of with the Dodgers with the Rockies. That being said, though, the Dodgers get a face-off against a Rockies pitching staff that was the second worst in the league last season, opposed to the Rockies facing off against the Dodgers, who was the best pitching staff. Nonetheless, still playing under 20 of your 60 games against top 10 pitching in the league and getting to do so at Coors Field, not to mention with a team, again, loaded with bats up and down the order. It provides for some favorable matchups throughout the season. And the added wild card of the DH makes things even more interesting. I think it adds a lot of upside potential here for a lot of NL hitters having that DH thrown in there. So I like that addition for some more runs being put on the board. Of course, you could throw the Astros on this list as well if you wanted to. Not a bad team to target here either. But again, liking the Rockies here at number 3. That's our 3 teams. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.